This is the first episode in our latest season covering cold cases across the United States, and the first in a two-part series. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are solely the interviewee's own. All individuals are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. No one has been publicly named as a suspect or person of interest in Pepita Redhair's disappearance. This series discusses intimate partner violence. For resources, please reach out to 800-799-SAFE or 7233 or thehotline.org. This is The Fall Line. Across the United States, there's been steadily growing awareness of the MMIWR, MMIP crisis. Coverage for cases of missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and people has improved, though case awareness and resolution remains an issue. That's something that we're sure our audience understands. Since we began working with families and advocates in Montana and Washington and Oregon and New Mexico and Arizona, we've become aware of at least 100 missing and murdered Indigenous people across the country whose stories hadn't yet reached us here in the Southeast. And they represent only a small number of MMIP cases across the country. Some families have already told their loved ones' stories on the podcast, and we're currently connecting with more through friends like Rhonda Grant Connolly at Blackfeet MMIP and advocates like Darlene Gomez in New Mexico. That sustained media coverage is essential, but podcasts and news stories are only one part of what families need to seek awareness and justice. There is so much more: open communication with law enforcement, local community support, the people who will be there month after month for rallies and to help with flyering and canvassing, money for expenses that mount, assurance that their loved one's case is not stalled, knowledge that friends and community haven't forgotten. The warmth of online support, it's necessary, and it's incredible what we can do via digital platforms. But day to day, the loved ones of the missing and murdered can feel very alone, even with organizations and hashtags and national campaigns at work. One young Navajo woman whose case has gotten some national attention is Pepita Redhair, though that coverage, it began months after she disappeared. She was last seen on March 27, 2020, in Albuquerque, New Mexico. That's the official date of her disappearance anyway. Pepita's family, they last saw her on March 24th. We have seen missing persons flyers circulating for years online, and that's something New Mexico advocates like our friend Eric Carter-Landine, they've made sure of. And Pepita's name comes up often in news stories addressing the MMIWR, MMIP crisis in the region too. So when we first spoke with Pepita's mother, Anita King, we hoped this attention had done something to move her daughter's case forward or to attract widespread support. And Anita, she is glad there's been coverage for Pepita, and that information continues to be shared online. It's essential. But there's also the reality of her situation. Anita says that as an advocate for her daughter, she's still as isolated as she was in the early days of the COVID pandemic, when Pepita vanished. It was perhaps the most frightening and maybe the worst time to file a missing persons case in recent memory. People were told to stay home, emergency services were overwhelmed, and journalists were too. The COVID-19 virus hit New Mexico and Arizona early and hard. Nationwide, Native communities were disproportionately affected. And as American Indian Magazine reported, the Navajo Nation became a hotspot for the pandemic. It's difficult to attract attention from missing adults at the best of times. For a missing young Native woman in the midst of the worst public health crisis in recent memory, it seemed virtually impossible. But Anita still tried. Anita lives in Crownpoint, New Mexico, on the Navajo Nation reservation, well over 100 miles from where her daughter was last seen. Tribal authorities could not open a missing persons report for her there because Pepita was technically living with her boyfriend in Albuquerque. So Anita had to reach out to APD. And Pepita's boyfriend eventually contacted APD too, on April 19th, 2020, close to a month after Pepita was reportedly last seen. That was a month of waiting, and now it's been nearly 6 years. And over those 6 years, Anita King has done everything possible to make an impact that will remind New Mexico and the broader country that Pepita is still missing. According to the Albuquerque Journal, it was the spring of 2025 when, quote, King and a handful of others made the 140-mile trek through the desert from Crownpoint east to Albuquerque to honor those, like Redhair, who've disappeared and to call for justice for the victims of what activists call the missing and murdered Indigenous women crisis. That article includes a photo of Anita standing along Route 66 on the asphalt and in the glaring sun. She's holding a hand-painted sign, "We Need Answers for Pepita Redhair, MMIWR." It's decorated with the red handprints that have become emblematic of the movement. And the hope was, and is, that people would see her, that they'd see her daughter's name, and that they'd act. The runners who joined Anita, they devoted 3 days to the journey with the same goal. That support matters. It's what Anita needs. But with an only $3,000 reward in the case, Anita isn't sure if people with the knowledge that could locate Pepita are incentivized to come forward. Her daughter's name, it's gained some recognition, but she doesn't see the investigation progressing. We found a statement from October of 2021 issued by APD that described Pepita's case as cold, and that was only a year and a half after she went missing. Like many families you've met on the show, Anita now has a second full-time job, working as an advocate. Despite having a verified missing persons case on record, she says there's little support or funding for the work that she does on her own, driving well over 200 miles round trip from her home in Crownpoint to Albuquerque, where she goes to hand out missing persons flyers. The gas, the cost of printing, the candy she buys to go with the flyers. That's the only way, she told us, that she can convince people to take them. It has drained her accounts. But she's still pushing forward, and she needs support on every level. Local, regional, national. We will ask for your help too at the end of these episodes. My family loves cooking at home and trying new recipes, and HelloFresh makes it easy to do more of it this year with recipes that feel good and taste delicious night after night. There's something so comforting about bringing everyone together over a meal on a busy weeknight. HelloFresh offers bigger portions that satisfy anyone, and we can choose from more than 100 recipes every week, including cuisines from around the world and meals that help beat the winter blues. My family loves the kid-friendly recipes, like the classic home-style spaghetti and meatballs with tomato sauce and Parmesan. And with easy-to-follow recipes, my son can even help me prepare dinner. More bonding time. I feel great about HelloFresh's wholesome ingredients, like sustainably sourced seafood and 100% antibiotic and hormone-free chicken, and their seasonal produce like pears, apples, and asparagus. HelloFresh helps me pull it together after work, sports, and homework, because when dinner tastes this good, nothing hits like home cooking. Go to HelloFresh.com/fallline10FM to get 10 free meals and a Freeze Willing knife, a $144.99 value on your third box. Offer valid while supplies last. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan.
Confronting high credit card debt can feel scary, but the good news is, if you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, financial relief options are now available. National Debt Relief is currently offering debt relief designed to reduce what you owe and put you on the fast track to becoming debt-free. If you qualify for debt relief, you may be able to pay back less than what you owe and save thousands of dollars. Just visit nationaldebtrelief.com. Imagine only paying one low monthly program payment you can afford and saving money as you become debt-free. National Debt Relief has already helped bring debt relief to over 550,000 U.S. consumers, earning thousands of five-star reviews and an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. You're stronger than your credit card debt. Let today be the day you start turning things around. Take the first step and visit nationaldebtrelief.com to see what debt relief you may qualify for. That's nationaldebtrelief.com.
Pepita Redhair was born in Gallup, but she grew up in Crownpoint on the Navajo Nation reservation. Anita told us that her daughter went to both Crownpoint High School and to Wingate High School, about 45 minutes away. When Pepita thought of her future, she imagined different paths. Her family recalled to various outlets that she considered becoming an engineer or maybe a teacher. She had lots of dreams and a need to explore the world, and maybe that's part of why she loves skateboarding so much. If you have ever read anything about Pepita Redhair, that is a detail that always comes up. She was a skateboarder, and a good one. According to family interviews with the TV show Never Seen Again, Pepita learned to skateboard when she was about 10 years old, and she never stopped. Pepita's love of the sport makes sense. You pick up a board, and there you go, off on an adventure of your own making. That was something she was ready to do after high school, to explore. Like many young adults, she hadn't quite figured things out yet, but there was one constant in her life. No matter where she went, or whether she was staying with friends out of town or out exploring the city on her skateboard, Pepita was in consistent contact with her family. Pepita's mother, Anita, and her older sister, Shelda, have spent a lot of time describing her to various news outlets. The family recalled to the Albuquerque Journal that Pepita was, quote, a happy young lady who, quote, saw beauty in even the smallest of creatures and would, quote, stop to pick up bugs, marveling at how cute they were. The Journal noted her devotion to family, reporting that she always made sure to, quote, bring home treats for her 3 nieces, whom she called her babies, when she returned from the city. She made a lot of friends in Albuquerque, where she traveled to visit skate parks and to socialize. It's also where she eventually met her boyfriend, Nick, in 2016. She was in her early 20s then, and still figuring out what she wanted to do. According to Investigation Discovery, quote, within 6 months of knowing one another, Pepita had moved into the home where Nick lived with his parents. But she still had a home with Anita back in Crownpoint, and she knew that she could return anytime. And Anita said that when things got bad in the relationship, Pepita would leave Albuquerque for a time. But then she always headed back to Nick's, eventually. She still checked in every day with someone, her mom or an older sibling, to let them know how she was doing. That's why her sudden silence in late March of 2020 was so frightening. Anita knew that her daughter wouldn't simply drop out of contact. And according to published statements from various sources, she had other reasons to worry too. Multiple news outlets have reported that Pepita was allegedly the victim of intimate partner violence. In a 2023 Gallup Independent article, lawyer and advocate Darlene Gomez, you've heard her on the show many times before, stated that, quote, she had a history of domestic violence. As a matter of fact, she'd been in the hospital for domestic violence 2 weeks prior to her going missing. In their coverage of Pepita's missing persons case, local news station KOAT reached out to APD for a statement regarding these allegations. This was back in October of 2021. In part, that statement read, quote, we do know of a domestic history with the boyfriend and are checking into it. We've checked, but we haven't found any other official comments on that aspect of her case. In October of 2025, another Albuquerque news outlet, KOB4, began a deep dive into Pepita's case, and investigative reporter Crystal Gutierrez obtained body cam footage of an APD call to Nick K's house from February 6, 2020. That's roughly 7 weeks before Pepita vanished. According to KOB4's reporting, when officers arrived, they found both Pepita and Nick appeared intoxicated. Police noted, quote, marks on her face and, quote, her hair being messy. KOB also reported that Pepita told a female officer, quote, she alleged that she'd hit herself in the shower. We watched these clips for ourselves, and the footage shows Nick interacting with law enforcement. He appears to be slurring his speech, and officers noted that he was heard threatening Pepita as they walked in. While no arrests were made, officers required that Nick leave the house for the night. According to KOB4, Pepita was spoken to privately by a female officer for, quote, less than 3 minutes. That body cam footage wasn't released. The entire encounter lasted for 12 minutes. KOB also reported that Nick has, to date, quote, never been charged with battery on a household member. This is the kind of information that has come out bit by bit since Pepita's disappearance, and all of it has haunted Anita King as she's tried to piece together a path to finding her daughter. We sat down with Anita in late 2025 to talk about Pepita's case. She told us her daughter grew up in a large and loving family, the 5th child, whom all her older siblings adored and coddled.
Pepita, she was born in Gallup on August 4th, 1992, and we reside in Crownpoint, New Mexico, all through from her birth to 27 years old. And we still reside in Crownpoint, New Mexico. And my daughter, she was a very bright young lady. She liked everything. She liked watching horror movies. And then she liked reading comic books. She likes to write. She was a writer. She used to write about anything. She was like a journalist, and she likes drawing sketches. And I seen a lot of things that she drew. She did a lot of drawing, a lot of just anything she sees, and she made her own clothes, like designed her own clothes. She has a very big smile, always smiling. She went to school elementary at Crownpoint, New Mexico. She went to Wingate High School, and she graduated from Crownpoint High School. And then after that, she went to Navajo Technical University, Crownpoint, for 2 semesters, and she wanted to become a teacher. And she loved kids and skateboarding as well. That was part of her hobby. And she loves talking to people, giving handouts. And she's always a helping hand, helping others. And she was very friendly. She wasn't afraid to, speak up, but she was very friendly, and she loved her nieces. She treated them as her own kids, and she really loved them and spent a lot of time with them. And they're growing up without her. One is 20 years old now, and they still miss her.
What was it like raising kids in Crown Point?
It's a small community, and the schools, hospital, convenience stores, and Bash's a supermarket. Like I said, it's a small community. Everybody knows each other. And, raising her there was great.
Did her sisters and brothers skateboard as well, or was that something that she was pretty exceptional at?
She was, exceptional at that. She the only one always skateboarding, and she had a lot of dreams. I mean, she's always talking, I want to do this, Mom. And, she was, like I said, very happy child.
Even after Pepita left Crownpoint to explore and to travel, Anita said that she made sure she was in contact with her family. They were kept up to date on her day-to-day life, her friends, her jobs, and eventually, her relationship with Nick.
All the siblings, she was close to them, her older sisters and her brothers. And she was like close to me as well. She texted me while I'm at work, Mom, good morning. How are you doing? How's your day going? Mom, we're over here. Nick is doing this, but we're back at the place and we're doing this and we're coming home this weekend. What do you want, Mom? Do you need anything? And oh boy, I miss that.
As we told you earlier in the episode, Pepita connected with her boyfriend, Nick, in 2016. She was in her early 20s then, and spending most of her time in Albuquerque. She'd made many friends there, especially through skateboarding. And according to Anita, when Pepita met Nick, she fell in love hard and quickly. They were living together with Nick's family within 6 months, and Anita wanted her daughter to be happy. She seemed so in love. But she says the family was uneasy based on signs that the relationship seemed volatile. The family noted that angry breakups and swift makeups were common. And according to local media and New Mexico court filings, Nick came with a history. Public records reveal a number of charges, though few convictions, stretching back to at least 2013 for cases ranging from DWI to battery. Most of those cases were dismissed, and Pepita was an adult when she met him, and her family simply didn't know everything about her relationship at the time. But by 2019, about 3 years in, they were able to observe his alleged treatment of Pepita themselves. Things hit a crisis point during the holidays when the pair came to visit Anita in Crownpoint. Per the Gallup Independent, Anita explained that, quote, her daughter's boyfriend, Kay, stayed at their home in Crownpoint during the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays of 2019, and she believes he was abusive towards her daughter. She told Kay that her daughter was not a punching bag, and that she had a family who loved her, and that he better treat her right. Then there was the apparent hospitalization in early March of 2020. Anita said that she found out about that through one of Pepita's siblings after the fact. A few weeks later, in late March, Pepita decided to return home to Crownpoint for a few days. She said that she and Nick had an argument, That wasn't uncommon, but after hearing about the hospitalization, Anita hoped that she might stay home longer. That was right around the time New Mexico had begun enacting shutdown measures due to COVID, and Anita encouraged Pepita to spend lockdown with her family. But, she says, her daughter decided that she wanted to return to Nix. On March 24th, 2020, Pepita made what would be her final trip from Crownpoint to Albuquerque.
On March 24th, we left the house and my son wanted his check to pay for his rent. The check came in the mail, so he was living in Albuquerque at that time. So we decided to go. I planned to go in the evening because we were shelter in place. I was working from home. So we planned, we left about 4 o'clock and we were leaving, and then she wanted to go. She wanted to go back to Nick. I said, no, just stay, sweetie, just stay. Take care of the house. We should be back right away before midnight. Mom, I said, I want to go back. I said, okay. So she just jumped in. She got her bag and we left. And our last stop was at Dancing Eagle Casino. That's where we ate. It was Sky City where we picked up the McDonald's, the meal. We drove to Dancing Eagle. That's where we did our rest break. We left from there. Nothing, everything's normal. No fight, no arguing. They just laugh and talk among each other, her brother and her niece. So we went straight to Nick's place. We got there and she goes, Mom, wait, I'll go inside. Okay, her bag was still in there in the truck. She went in. It took her about maybe 5 minutes, 3 minutes. And I told my grand, let me go get her, Mom, Grandma. I said, okay, tell her that we're leaving now. She needs her bag. And she went down there, knocked on the door, and said, Grandma said, we're going to leave now because it's going to get darker right away. We had to, before Walmart closed. Remember at that time, the Walmart closes about probably 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock because of COVID thing. So she came out and Nick came out too, and Nick was drunk. And I told him, I said, please, what are you doing? I mean, please take care of my daughter. I don't want you hurting her like you did last time. You beat her up. I said, this time it's not going to happen. I said, I love her. You need to take care of each other, take care of her. So she got her bag. He goes, Mom, okay, I love you guys. You travel safe. I'll call you guys. I said, okay. Then we left. That was the last time I saw her. And that midnight, she called crying that Nick was mad at her. My son said she called crying that Nick was mad at her, but he never woke me up, Mom. I would have went back to Albuquerque. It's 200 miles from where we live to Albuquerque. I'm sorry.
Your son was the last one in your family to speak with her.
Yeah, and my granddaughter. She said she called her. And she said, I just kind of got after her. So what are you doing? You should have just came back with Grandma. So I tried everything.
Anita hoped for the best, but she was worried, and warning signs emerged almost immediately. After that late-night call, communication ceased.
The next day, when you weren't getting texts from her, you started getting suspicious and kind of worried. Where is she?
Yes. And she knows our phone number. She's very smart. And I tried that following week, March 24th, 27th, and all the way to 30. I tried calling her. And by Friday, the 27th, I felt something, in my stomach that, something's wrong. Something bad happened, As you know, as a mother, if your child is in trouble or something's up, you would feel it. You would know what's happening. And you would know what's going on.
She continued trying to reach Pepita over the weekend, calling and texting with growing desperation. Then, when she tried texting Pepita's number again, something even more disturbing happened. The Washington Post reported that, quote, a man texted back to say that someone had sold him the phone. Here's what Anita remembers about that text and what it said.
I'm sorry, I just bought this phone from a guy named Darren for $30. He goes, I'm sort of homeless and I don't want to lose my SIM card. I said, I don't want to lose my SIM card. That phone was mine. It was my daughter. I loaned it to my daughter. And I said, can I meet you? That was on a Friday. I said, can I meet you back in Albuquerque tomorrow? I can give you the $30 back so I can get the phone back. That was it. He never texted me back. We never found that phone.
We don't know who that was, or if it was truly a stranger, but the text confirmed Anita's worst fears. Something had happened to her daughter. She did not believe that Pepita would go silent for days without explanation. That's when she decided that she had to call law enforcement. She discovered that Crownpoint was out of jurisdiction, so she reached out to the Albuquerque Police Department.
I called Albuquerque Police Department, and I told them that my daughter, I haven't heard from her, and I explained what I was trying to do, who I'm trying to contact. And they told me that, well, Pepita is 27 years old and she's free to travel. And I was like, is that all you're going to say to me? You guys not taking her serious. She's a human. So I just hung up and didn't want to deal with this.
The family set out to do their own search. According to Investigation Discovery, they distributed flyers in her usual Albuquerque hangouts, and they looked for her acquaintances and friends. Pepita's sister, Shelda Livingston, she said that news stations weren't interested in picking up the story. They were focused on COVID-19 and the earliest days of the virus's spread. Shelda told Investigation Discovery that she eventually drove into Albuquerque to Nick's home. She stood outside, calling Pepita's name, but no one ever came to the door. She recalled that she stood on the street while dogs barked at her from the yard. Shelda tried to file a missing persons report too. According to Source New Mexico, quote, when Livingston went to file a missing persons report with the Albuquerque Police Department, she said the reaction from officers was cold and potentially discriminatory. She said officers were rude about Pepita's personal shortcomings and insisted that she would return home, but offered no resources to conduct a search. As for Anita, she didn't stop trying to reach an agency that could help. Without any real response from city authorities, she managed to contact what she described as a national missing persons database and begin a record with them. This was likely NamUs, a database that would need a police report to publish Pepita's name to the public, but does take family information. Anita estimates that she made that contact around March 30th. According to our public records returned from APD, the earliest missing persons report for Pepita is dated April 19, 2020. That was the report made after her boyfriend Nick called. Based on what we can find in the records that we received and statements that were made online, it seems to be the first official missing persons report with the department. If an official report was recorded earlier, it was not released to us. The only record that we received that was dated earlier was from April 16th, and that was a welfare check that was requested by Pepita's family. Albuquerque Police Department is no longer in charge of Pepita's case. After first moving to the Attorney General's office, her missing persons investigation is now being headed by a unit with the county DA. We did reach out for comment, but we didn't hear back. Anita says that she was profoundly hurt by what felt like a lack of official concern for her daughter. As she told KOAT in 2021, quote, they said my daughter was a drunk. They assumed that she was gone and that she was not important. In the weeks that passed after she raised the alarm regarding Pepita's disappearance, that's investigative time that can never be recovered. She told us that she reported what was said to a sergeant and that she did receive an apology. But that's not what she wanted. She needed to find her daughter. My family loves cooking at home and trying new recipes, and HelloFresh makes it easy to do more of it this year with recipes that feel good and taste delicious night after night. There's something so comforting about bringing everyone together over a meal on a busy weeknight. HelloFresh offers bigger portions that satisfy anyone, and we can choose from more than 100 recipes every week, including cuisines from around the world and meals that help beat the winter blues. My family loves the kid-friendly recipes, like the classic home-style spaghetti and meatballs with tomato sauce and Parmesan. And with easy-to-follow recipes, my son can even help me prepare dinner. More bonding time. I feel great about HelloFresh's wholesome ingredients, like sustainably sourced seafood and 100% antibiotic and hormone-free chicken, and their seasonal produce like pears, apples, and asparagus. HelloFresh helps me pull it together after work, sports, and homework. Because when dinner tastes this good, nothing hits like home cooking. Go to HelloFresh.com/FallLine10FM to get 10 free meals and a Freeze Willing knife, a $144.99 value on your third box. Offer valid while supplies last. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. Pepita's family searched, but they had no leads. And then, as we told you before the break, they requested a welfare check at Nick's family home. Based on the records that we received, that was on April 16th. And per the report, when officers spoke with Nick that day, quote, he stated that he had not seen her in a couple of weeks. And then, 3 days later, on April 19th, Nick called 911 to report Pepita missing. Through our request with APD, we obtained that recording. We don't normally play law enforcement audio or 911 calls on air, but this particular tape has already been made public, and we think it captures a lot of what Anita wants you to understand about Pepita's case. So we'll share excerpts that avoid identifying personal information with you now.
Albuquerque Police, Operator 7022, how may I help you?
Hi, I was calling to make a missing persons report.
Okay, and who is it that you're wanting to report missing?
My girlfriend, her name is Pepita Redhair, Pepita, and Redhair, Redhair.
And then how long has she been missing?
Last time I seen her was March 27th.
All right. And then how come you have waited so long to report her?
Well, usually she stays away me and her got into an argument, and usually she comes back about a week or two maybe. And she hasn't contacted me, and her mom is worried too because she hasn't called her, so I thought maybe that she was back at her mom's house, that's why.
Okay. So she usually comes back after you guys have any kind of argument?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And her mom hasn't made a report either?
She said that she did, but well, we called earlier, and she's been saying that she was gonna make a report, but she said that just recently, maybe like a day or two ago, she said that she couldn't make a report because she's not living at the house that she left from, which is this one.
Okay. So she called, but she didn't actually make the report?
I guess so. I'm not too sure.
Okay. All right. And you haven't been able to ship a telephone that you've been able to try to contact her on?
She had her mom's phone, and I tried contacting her. I think it was the 28th, that Saturday, the next day.
Uh-huh.
That evening, I tried contacting her, and I told her I was gonna go class, but the way that she was texting me was out of the ordinary. It wasn't stuff that she would say to me.
Was it her phone or her mom's phone that she was using?
Her mom's phone.
Okay.
Her mom left the phone with her to try and get a job and stuff.
Okay. And when was the last time her mom saw her?
On Sunday, March 26th, me and her ended up kind of getting into an argument, and my mom took her back to her mom's house, which is in Crownpoint, that morning, and she got dropped off with her stuff and everything. And on Tuesday, March 24th, her Pepita's mom, Anita King, she brought her back, and she ended up dropping her back off over here. And I think, that was the last time that she seen her.
Was the 27th? Or the
24th.
Okay, but the last time you saw her then was the 27th.
Yeah, the
Okay.
last time I seen her was 27.
And has anybody gone to that Crownpoint address to check on her?
No, that's her mom's address.
Okay.
And I've been speaking to her mom, and she said that she hasn't seen her or anything.
Okay. And does she have any mental or medical diagnosis?
Nothing that I know of.
Okay. And does she have any thoughts of suicide at all?
No.
And does she usually do this? Does she ever leave and just not come back?
Well, every now and again we'll get into an argument, but she'll be gone for like a day or two, and then she'll come back.
Okay.
Or
Does she usually go to her mom's house?
No, I don't know if she jumps on the bus from Westgate to Eubank and Central, or Wyoming and Central, somewhere around there, or San Mateo and Central, and she'll hang around there for like a day or two, and she'll contact me, and then she'll come back.
Okay.
But this time she ended up leaving with both of us just barely met this guy. His name is Jeremy or Lermy.
Okay, so is there any of her stuff missing? Did she take anything with her when she left?
No. Whenever she left, she took whatever clothes she was wearing and my jacket. That was it.
Okay, she didn't take any essential items with her or anything? Just
no, nothing.
Okay. And she doesn't have a vehicle at all? If you're saying she takes the bus?
Yeah, no,
okay.
No vehicle, no nothing.
After several minutes spent establishing Pepita's physical description, including tattoos, the operator began her questions again.
All right, perfect. That's very useful. Thank you so much. All right. And did she last tell you where she was leaving to exactly?
No, we got into an argument, and she ended up leaving, but the day before, me and her ran into another native guy that was homeless, and he didn't have a place to stay, so I asked him if he wanted to stay over here, and we all drank together.
Mm-hmm.
And that next day, she ended up leaving, and then maybe 5-10 minutes after that, we got into the argument, and she left.
Okay. But she didn't tell you where she was heading to at all?
No, but
okay.
Usually she goes up to Wyoming or San Mateo or Eubank and Central, somewhere right there on Central.
And she takes the bus up there?
Yeah.
Okay. And have you guys tried ever looking around the area at all to see for her, or no?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
The operator advised that an officer would be coming by to speak with him and that APD would be on the lookout for Pepita. And she asked if anyone in the house was sick. That was a standard question in April of 2020. Nick's April 19th call should have marked a turning point in the search for Pepita. He told them about a party, an argument, and Pepita leaving with someone else, a new name, and a possible new lead. But his account raised more questions than it answered. Why had he waited so long to call? What exactly had happened that night? And who was this unknown man that he claimed Pepita had left with? The family had been searching for answers for weeks, and they still had no clear path to follow to find Pepita. As the COVID-19 pandemic reached a crisis point in New Mexico, her family was faced with a system, strained at the best of times, that seemed like it had no resources to devote to her. So, like so many others before them, they decided to continue that work alone. At the time of her disappearance, Pepita Redhair was 27 years old. She would be 33 years old today. She's a Native American female and is about 5'1" and 140 pounds, with dark brown hair and brown eyes. She was last seen wearing a black shirt, black skinny jeans, and black shoes. Pepita has several tattoos, including a dinosaur on her right forearm, a koi fish on her left forearm, a butterfly on her shoulder, and red hair on her leg, and a tattoo of a heart with an arrow on the inside of her bottom lip. Anyone with information about Pepita's disappearance can do one of the following. You can contact the Bernalillo County District Attorney's Office at 505-222-1101, the Albuquerque Police Department at 505-242-COPS or 2677. You can contact Crime Stoppers anonymously at 505-843-STOP or submit a tip online at p3tips.com/531. There's a $3,000 reward in Pepita's case. No one has been officially named a suspect or a person of interest in Pepita's disappearance. Next time on The Fall Line, we continue our coverage of the disappearance of Pepita Redhair and discuss the theories that have arisen in her case and the support Anita needs to continue her work to find her daughter. To help her directly with the cost of her search efforts, please consider using Venmo. We're supporting her work, and we hope you will too. Anita's Venmo username is @Anita-King-86. You can also find a link in our show notes. If you'd like to express your support for the active investigation of Pepita's case, consider joining our email campaign. You can find out more in our show notes. And if you know of a case that should be covered on The Fall Line, there's a link in our show notes too. Thank you for listening. The Fall Line is an independent podcast, and we appreciate listener support. It allows us to do research, obtain FOIA, pay our content advisors, and support and donate to the causes we care about. Our therapy fund is paid for through Patreon and Apple Premium subscriptions. If you try out the products we advertise, please use our sponsor codes. It really helps. And please take a moment to rate and review our show in your podcast app of choice. If you listen on Apple Podcast, please be sure to check your subscription to make sure you're set for automatic downloads so you don't miss an episode. My book, Lay Them to Rest, is out everywhere now. Find out more through the link in our show notes. The Fall Line is written, hosted, and researched by Laura Norton. Interviews by Brooke Hargrove. Engineered by Southern Gothic Media and Rachel Boyd. Content advisement by Vic Kennedy and Brandy C. Williams. Special thanks to Liz Lipka.